Hi, everyone. Welcome to Circle of Healing Connection. This is Angela.
And this is Madhu.
It's
And
such an honor to have Diana with us today. Diana has such a wonderful story of success from rock bottom, new highlights from nothing. At one point in life, she had four successful businesses. Then suddenly, one after another, business closed to the point of bankruptcy. Not only survived, but also built her life again and using what life has taught her into helping others. Welcome, Diana.
Thank you so much, Angela. And it's so wonderful to be here. And I'm grateful for this opportunity to connect with you, to connect with your audience, and to share in a way that this is not a story of victimization. This is really a story of hope and possibility and potential, and just really opening up to what life has to offer. So I'm really grateful to be here.
oh, this is incredible. This is truly incredible. Like everybody needs hope,
Mhm.
especially during this unprecedented time. It's just, yeah, life is upside down right now. So, Diana, tell us about your story, how you even become life coach, and from, as we mentioned, from nothing to today where you are, like that hope story we want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you a quick background is I've worked for 30 years as a speech and language pathologist. I have a master's in communication sciences and disorders. And through that role, I found myself doing a lot of coaching and I was doing a lot of consulting. That's a big part of my role. I don't do a lot of direct intervention. I do more coaching, parenting coaching, educational coaching, and consulting. And then
Mhm.
in 2003, I started realizing that there was something missing in my life. I was super happy in my career. I had a beautiful daughter. I had a fairly disconnected relationship at the time with her father. And I realized something was missing. So I started doing some seeking, some counseling, some energy work, some energy healing. And it eventually took me to yoga. And in 2004, I took my first yoga class, and we did not have a good relationship, yoga and I originally, because I was very used to pushing for what I wanted in my life, and I didn't know how to soften and surrender. So yoga gave me some tools that were absolutely invaluable as I was going through a transition at that time in my life. And eventually, I opened up 4 yoga studios, and they thrived. They were other studios in the Greater Toronto area. I had the best teachers who were my friends, who were like spiritual leaders in our community. And there were some decisions that were made, some of them totally within my control. I take responsibility, so many of them out of my control, that led to the demise of the studios one at a time. And the studios, as they closed down slowly, and my personal life was attached to my professional life, I lost everything. And I didn't just lose my businesses, I lost my home. I lost my investments. I lost um, my friends, my friends who sat in judgment of me because I I failed. And I really took on that belief of being a failure. I really allowed it to define me for that time, which took me into states of depression on and off. And what really got me through that time was my yoga belief. I had started and I still do run a teacher training academy for yoga, where I train people to be yoga instructors. It's a 200-hour program, and we do it online now, and it's wonderful. And it's one of my favorite things to do in the world. And I truly call it, it's a personal development program disguised as yoga. So we do a lot of interpersonal development and self-awareness, community building, heart opening, and then we also do yoga, and they become amazing yoga instructors. But truly, it's the life changes that bring me so much joy to see that evolution. The teachings that I had at the time is what kept me going. And there were days that I had a hard time getting out of bed, and I didn't know what my life would look like. And I didn't know literally where my next shopping, grocery bill was going to, how it was going to get paid. And I had to make decisions with my daughter. Will I take my daughter to school, which was 20 minutes away, or will I go to work? Because I only had enough gas for one of those choices. So it was a really tough time. Yeah. And then these teachings they were seeds that were planted in me. And at the time that I was teaching them, I believed them. But when I was in my darkest place, it was hard to really pull them back in but they were in me, and they kept like just little nuggets, just like giving me little reminders, like this is not forever. And this does not define you. And there's a term in yoga called spanda, which means that life moves in ebb and flows. And we see it in evidence of everything in the universe. We see it in the ocean tides. We see it in the sun and the moon. And I would remember when I could, when I was open to it, I would remember that this is a low that's going to be followed by something else, that this isn't going to be forever. So I'm super grateful that I had these teachings that I truly trusted and believed that allowed me to get up in the mornings. And I had, kids that I had to get up for. The universe is so friendly. And the universe, when I say the universe, it's the God of your understanding, is so friendly. And I never lost that relationship of the friendliness with it, that I trusted that life was happening for me, not to me. So yes, I was depressed. Yes, I was scared. Yes, I didn't know how my life would turn out. And I always believed that life was happening for me, that there was something here that although I couldn't touch it right now, in the future, it would show itself to me. And it certainly has. I believe that today too, by the way. I believe that what we're going through now, as hard as it is with COVID, with elections in the States, with everything that's happening in the world, I believe that there's something greater making its way into our world. We just can't see it just yet. So eventually I got pulled back into my job as a speech language pathologist because I had left that career. Literally the doors just opened for me, and I was able to seamlessly get back into it and start to just rebuild my financial status, like just get a little bit of money, be able to get gas in the car, be able to buy food for my kids, and find my footing again. And one of my teachers, Lisa Nichols, says, we all fall down, but you get to decide if you want to take real estate there or not. And I chose not to take up real estate there. I knew that I was down, and every day I put my feet back on the ground and I stood back up. And at some point in the day, I would fall back down, and my falling down could have been my showing up at my office, closing the door and crying my eyes all day. And then I got back up, dusted myself off, came home and took care of my kids. So that was my life for a couple of years. And I realized I continued to teach. And that was my blessing, as I continued to teach. And I do consider myself a spiritual teacher in my community. And I continued to teach. And I believe we always teach what we need to hear the most. And I taught what I needed to hear the most. And my teachings are a blend of spiritual teachings, Eastern philosophy, life coaching, mindset coaching. And I package it all together in the way that offers up to my clients what they need to hear the most. And I realized I was coaching then. I had been coaching since 2010. And I took the coaching from the yoga mat to my one-on-one clients, my business clients. The coaching doesn't change. It's just the audience that's changed. So I don't include the physical practice of yoga, but the coaching about how do we show up when times are tough? How do we find our feet and take a big exhale when we don't know what's going to happen today with the elections south of the border? How do we take responsibility, personal responsibility, radical responsibility for who we are and how we show up in the world? And then be able to say sorry when we don't show up at our best, right? How do we keep our hearts open when there's no guarantees, when we're met with closure or resistance? And how do we show up as leaders? Because I really believe we're all leaders. And one of my taglines is, we're all leaders, but are you a leader who gives a shit? Are you a leader who's willing to show up every day when there's no guarantees, to roll up your sleeves and do the work that needs to get done, whether it's get the kids to school, or whether you're a CEO of a large corporation and you need to go in that warehouse and help out, because that's what's needed, because your employees, your staff, your team, your family needs to see you engaged, ready, authentic, and collaborative. And so I bring all of that into my coaching world, and I'm super grateful and blessed that I get to help people every day remember that they are significant, that they are not defined by their circumstances in their life. I have a quote in one of the books that I've published that says, your experiences do not define you. Your experiences refine you and have the potential to catapult you to your deepest and highest purpose. And I live that belief every day. And my life still does this. That's just life. And I always come with the remembrance that, first of all, I'm a friggin' miracle just like you. Because there's a 1 in 400 billion chances that any one of us would be here. Essentially, it's a zero. Like if we really look at it, it's a zero chance that you or I would be here, but we're here. So that makes us a miracle. And if we can come from that lens of seeing the miracle in ourselves, this is the work in self-awareness, personal development, then we can start to take that lens and open it up to see the world from that perspective. And until we do that, we create a divide in the world. We create separation. And that's how we have wars, disconnect, duality. And my purpose, my mission in my lifetime is to help people to remove their masks that keep them separate, to be able to come back to their authentic nature of light and love and peace and joy and abundance. It's in all of us. And to be able to welcome others from that place as well.
Wow. Thank you so much, Diana, for sharing your life with us. How did you even overcome like the darkest time of your life? And how did you know that the universe had your back when you hit the rock bottom?
You know, that comes down to faith and trust. It was faith and trust. I'm not going to lie. There were like probably a couple of months where I didn't roll out my yoga mat and I didn't do my spiritual practices. My spiritual practices are yoga, meditation, mindfulness, and being outside every day. Those are my spiritual practices. And for me, prayer is speaking to God or the universe, and meditation is listening. And I feel like if we just pray without listening, we lose the opportunity to hear the power and the strength and the resilience that we have within us. So meditation became really important for me. I stepped away from it for a little bit. I still had to get up. So thankfully I had that purpose from my kids. And then I went back to my practices, and they are daily. Every day I do tune-ins, I do check-ins, I do meditation, I do prayer, I do yoga, and I'm outside usually 3 or 4 times a day. And if I don't do that now, especially, right, because we're back in that sponda of, wow, life is tough. And I recognize that there are people suffering, a lot of people suffering. And I have days where I feel like I'm suffering. But again, my practices help me to remember who I am, who I am here to become, right? Like what's my purpose here? And it's beyond this outer shell, and it's beyond the stuff that I own and where I live. There's something bigger. And I really believe that we are here to support each other. And when I can get out of what I call my little self, like the little s self, it's just about me, and that little self will contract and be in fear and scared about what's going to happen. When I get out of that, I can access my higher purpose. And that's truly what got me out of the dark times. And it continues to help me stand up, not always step up, but stand up when I fall back down. And we're going through those times now. We all need to know that we can find our feet. And when people say, what do I do? The first thing I say is take a breath. Exhale. Because our nervous systems get hijacked. Our brain creates the fear, and it literally takes over our body. And we start running cortisol and adrenaline and all these chemicals that shut down our genius brain. So whether we're in work, entrepreneurs, just trying to stay alive at home, we need to breathe so that we can open up our genius that can then say, okay, this is reality and here's what I can do. We can't change what's happening out there today. I couldn't change the fact that my yoga friends started a public slaughter on Facebook about me. I couldn't change that at all. I can't control what other people do. I can only respond or react, and I have a choice. There's a difference between the two. So reacting is coming from a place of, right, like just like really being strong, and responding is taking the time to just breathe and open up the truth. And the truth comes through this part of your brain in the front of your brain that's called your prefrontal cortex that says, okay, here's the facts. Here's the reality. You're not running away from a saber-toothed tiger like your ancestors did, centuries ago. That's not your reality right now. You're here, your feet are on the ground, you have a roof over your head, you have clean water, right? Like, we're pretty privileged. And I have my breath. So my practices continue to be what keeps me grounded and present and responsive to what's happening in the world today and in my life today.
Wow. I mean, just wow, even to be able to breathe.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a privilege that I am alive today. And just listening to you, it's like, I know I need to start listening to Diana more. Thank you, Diana, for that.
We all need reminders, right? I need reminders too. If I find myself in conflict, I need to remember to breathe or step away until I can.
True. Reaction and responding. I mean, that was like, I guess we all get caught up in that, and we all have to remind ourselves that I don't have to react. I can respond.
Yeah.
But thank you for that deep insight. I actually want to know, I know you touched a little bit on that part already, but for our viewers, we want to get that message out. Like, when in life you are feeling stuck, what are the ways to help us out? What is your advice on that?
Yeah, fantastic. So there's two ways that I define being stuck. One is stuck in our mindset. And that happens because, when we're little kids, we're born perfect, open slates, blank slates. And our parents say, thank you, God, I'll take it from here. And they start drawing on the slate. They start giving us all of our beliefs. And then we go to school and we get more. And we go to society, and media gives us more. And our partners give us more. And we start getting all these teachings from other people. And we sometimes get stuck that is the truth. And so part of my coaching is helping people to recognize what's really true for you. Because a lot of those truths that you've believed, a lot of those beliefs that you've taken on, they might be filled with judgments. They might be filled with all kinds of things that aren't really who you are, who you know yourself to be. And so it's important for us to look at those, especially today, especially when there's so much divide and anger and hurt in the world today. And I believe hurt people hurt people. So we need to recognize what is creating this hurt in our own minds. What beliefs are creating the judgments, the divides, the abuse that we have towards each other. And then we also have a stuckness that literally is being stuck in our body, because we have traumas as we grow. We have traumas, big T, little traumas, little t. And trauma has less to do with the event, and it has more to do with how your nervous system and body interprets the event. Because two people can have the same experience, and one holds it as trauma and the other doesn't. So trauma is any time that the nervous system is overwhelmed and doesn't have the capacity to release. And so as little children, pre-verbal children, pre-mobile children, something happens and we can't run away from the situation, so we shut down. And what happens is we literally create a little knot in our nervous system. We call it a kink in our nervous system. We shut down. When we shut down that part because it's too hard, we don't understand, we can't process it. When we shut it down, we shut down our life force. And so part of being stuck is recognizing, where has your life force been shut down? And then that continues through our childhood. And in the yoga tradition, we look at something called the chakras, which are the energy centers in our bodies. And the chakras can shut down or can become overstimulated, overactive. So we try to move our bodies to release energy, to come back to a state of balance where we can open up and let energy flow. And where energy flows, our emotions are free to be experienced in a healthy way. So nothing is made wrong. And nothing is preferred, right? So anger is not worse than happiness. They're both different emotional states. It's just, how do you express it that becomes problematic in our world today?
True.
So
Wow.
stuckness can be nervous system stuckness, and it can also be mindset stuckness. And the work that I do, I'm not a mindset coach. There are millions of mindset coaches in the world today. I'm very much what I call an embodied consciousness coach. So we work through the body to find where are the stuck parts in the body. And we do that by turning into the body, by listening, by getting quiet and still. And it takes 30 seconds. I can have somebody come to a realization in about 30 seconds about where they're stuck in their body. And right away, I know how to help them. Once we're in the bodies and we can start to open up, then we move from the bottom up to the mind and recognize what thought has been created that has reinforced that feeling in your body or that stuckness in your body. So a lot of coaches work top down. Let's look at the thoughts. A lot of behavioral therapy, cognitive behavioral theory, change your thoughts, change your life. Well, I have a lot of people who come to me after having done CBT for years, and they're more stressed out because they can't change their thoughts, right? It's, in my opinion, it's not the way. That we have to go through the body because the body holds wisdom. And when we can start to lean towards the body and hold it with compassion, with kindness, and with a sense of curiosity, which, by the way, is my definition of mindfulness: compassion, kindness, and curiosity. When we can hold that space, then we start to open up and we can then change and challenge our thoughts. But it's not top down, it's bottom up.
Wow, that's amazing. I feel already enlightened by you just by hearing and the healing energy. And for the viewers out there, if you want to have an embodied consciousness coaching session with Diana, please go to our website, circlehc.org, or the link below to book a nice session with Diana. Thank you all for watching. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.